Good morning.
Good morning.
The subject of this week is focus on goals. And I feel it's important to know, where does a goal start? Actually, the goal starts in our thoughts, and it activates the imagination, and the imagination is an idea and everything. And once you have an idea that is not in your life, then you have a goal. But that's not in your life, so it's invisible. So then the law of creation comes into effect, because the law of creation is forming from the invisible to the visible. And so as you plant a garden, when you put a seed into the ground, certain things start happening with that, but you don't hardly ever see anything physically happening. And that's the same sequence that happens when you create a goal. When the first idea is that it doesn't start forming physically, that you can see it. So it's important to understand that there, because then you're not going to dig it up and say, why isn't it working? Because if you plant a garden and you dig it up and find out where it doesn't happen, it dies and everything. And so there's some things with each sequence that we do to focus on. One of them is nurturing, one is cultivating, and one is weeding and everything. So if you're going to have something in your life that you don't have right now, it's important to realize that you are making room for that. So you got your bucket of water and you want to put some fresh water in there, and the bucket's full. You're going to have to dump some out to put that water in there and everything. It's probably a good idea to dump the whole bucket to put new water in there, because then you got the old water mixed in there. But we don't want to change our whole life at one time either. So we will take one step at a time. And so how do we nurture ourselves? We nurture ourselves by being with people and starting out with, I accept myself as I am, so that when you go to some place, if you're going to a place where people don't accept you as you are, you have the courage not to stay there, and find some place that do accept you. And if you can't find any place to accept you, there's always a tree that will accept you, or some place that you've been that was very pleasant to be with. So go to that place, and that's part of the nurturing too, and everything. And of course, weeding. This is a constant thing that we do, is weed. And what are the weeds in our life? They're the people are weeds. And so when you have a goal and you're concentrating on that goal and focusing on that goal, you'll notice that people will automatically be less in your life. And that will let you know that your goal is forming, because it's making room for you to replace it with other people of the consciousness that you're moving to and everything. And so I like the law of creation. I like to use corn. I'm sort of a corny guy sometimes and everything. But when you plant the corn, there's 3 little seeds that you put in there, and you mark them and everything. When I was a child, my parents made me to be the guardian of the garden and everything. And so they always said, put the 3 kernels of corn 3 feet apart and everything. And I always wondered why I had to do that and everything. Well, then I realized that when the corn starts pushing up through the ground, it looks like a weed. So if I know it's not a weed, I'm not going to pull it. So it's important not to pull the idea that you have with that, so you nurture that, keep things loose around you. And you find places and people and things that accept you as you are, and there's a looseness with that, Loose with that. And so now when the corn breaks through the ground, we still want to concentrate on cultivating, weeding, and nurturing and everything. And so that it'll grow a stalk. And what is the purpose of a stalk? The purpose of a stalk is to have strength and confidence to hold the ears where the kernels are forming and everything. And so when that comes up there and you start seeing things sort of forming in your life and everything like this, and still nothing seems to be happening very dynamic, know that you're building confidence and security and strength to be able to handle the manifestation of that goal. And whatever you do in your quiet time, concentrate on, I am confident and I am secure. And this will allow you to also continue on. Sometimes the people in our life that we have a very strong attraction to them. And so I don't know if I want to weed that and everything. But you find out, though, if you don't weed it, you're not going to grow. You're not going to, that goal is not going in there, And the idea doesn't have to be profound. But I found a couple words of nurturing too, is that there's a desire with this idea that you have. And I always kind of shied away from the word desire, and then I really found out what it meant. It's a worthy destination. And so this is one of the things that add to my consciousness and my strength and everything. I am worthy. And so I would start saying, I am worthy. And it was amazing the energy that came up from that. Because those are very powerful words and everything. And then I can be able to handle things that are my goal is starting to form and everything like this. And then on corn, when it gets to the forming the ears, you still can't pull the ear off there because the kernels are forming. And so this is where patience comes in. You have to be patient. If you pull the husk back, it's going to slow things down, even dying and everything like this. So you know that you keep on nurturing, cultivating, and weeding, so that the final thing will be nice. And the goal that you have is going to be much more dynamic than when it started. You start with 3 kernels of corn, and what do you get? You get 3 or 4 ears of corn with hundreds of kernels of corn on that. I had a student one year said, I didn't believe you. So I started counting the kernels. And the person said, well, I stopped counting after 200. And so what a dynamic law that is, And these are your goals are subject to that law, and you are subject to that law of creation. So know that when you are in the process of forming your goals and everything, concentrate on weeding, cultivating, and nurturing. And who's to tell you what nurturing is? Who's to tell you what weeding and cultivating is? You have the authority within you to do that. And you'll get ideas to do something different, to cultivate, to keep things loose, and to nurture and everything. And one of the things I found with goals and everything like this is that actually the diet we have sometimes hinders us from that goal and everything. And if you get an idea from yourself of that you are to change your diet, then change it. But I wouldn't change the whole diet. I would try one thing at a time, one step at a time. And what I do is I have people write down what they eaten that day. And then when they get up the next day and ask them how they feel. If they feel sluggish or they feel not too pleasant and everything, or if they're still tasting the food that they ate yesterday, then that's one of the food groups that you replace. And you try to replace it with something that's fresh and green. I found that to be very beneficial and everything. What am I going to replace it with? Well, there's a knowing inside of you that will tell you to do that. When I was developing my mediumship back in the early 70s, I had this sensation or an idea to go to a grapefruit diet. So I started eating grapefruit with no sugar on it. And boy, that was bitter at first. But after a while, I'm going to try putting sugar on here. Well, when I put the sugar on it was bitter than it was when I started, And so I kept on doing that for a while. And then I read somewhere that grapefruit helps the development of clairvoyance. And that's when I was developing my clairvoyance, and that was one of my goals, to be a medium and everything. And so I found out that it was very nice of these ideas that I had to support the goal that I have and everything like this. So the focus of your goals, are your thoughts, words, and actions and everything like this. And as you act with the worthiness, the weeding, the nurturing, and the weeding, and that, you're going to form that goal, And one of the benefits of that is that you're gaining strength in the process of that. And remember that there's always a sequence that happens with goals. It's something from the invisible and it's forming to the visible. And that's the law of creation. and that's also called natural law. When I come in here, everybody was just mentioning natural law, but they never told me what it was. And so, what is this? It's natural. It's like blind faith in the Orthodox. You just have to believe that it's there. But natural law has a sequence of events, and it works every time. And know that. So, focus on your goals with happiness, health, and wealth. And also that nurturing, weeding, and cultivating is how you form the strength and confidence to manifest it. And I'll leave that with you with many blessings.